Ladies and gentlemen, the most common first move in chess is e4, okay? That is your king's pawn if you have the white pieces. You put it in the centre of the board and you try and take as much space as humanly possible, okay? So it makes sense that every chess player has a repertoire against e4, okay? Because you're gonna come up against it. It is inevitable. So you have to be able to know the next moves, okay? What can I play best to put myself in good stead for the middle game? Okay, how can I best position myself to go on and win this game? Well, look no further, people, because in today's video we're going to be showing you 5 traps you can play against e4. Now, these aren't going to be traps that you use over the board, okay? These aren't going to be traps that you use in long rapid games. But if you want some traps to play against your friends over the board, or if you're playing bullet or blitz, lower time controls, and you just want to confuse your opponents, get some early checkmates, get some quick, easy elo, this is the video for you. Going to be showing you 5 traps you can play against e4. If you do enjoy this video, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you are new. And guys, we're going to jump straight into this. Okay guys, so for trap number 1, it actually comes against the Italian defense, Italian attack, whatever you want to call it. So it starts with e4, of course, because that's the whole premise of the video. You're actually going to respond with e5, so very symmetrical, take the center. Then we get knight to f3, knight to c6, so we've all played this position a million times. And then bishop to c4 is known as the Italian game, okay? From here, you're actually going to put your knight on d4, and this may look like a huge blunder because you hang this pawn. But we actually want them to take this pawn on e5. And when they do take it, we play this move bishop. That's clearly a queen, Max. We play queen to g5, so we're attacking the knight and taking space with the queen. So they may take on f7, thinking, hang on a minute, I'm just forking everything. I'm completely winning here. I'm attacking the queen. I'm attacking the rook. The king cannot take back because the bishop defends so goddamn well. However, we have the move queen to g2. And now they need to be very, very careful, because if they were to just take the rook, for example, well then we'd simply do this, and then like queen takes on e4 is absolutely crushing, okay? So if they take the rook, that's complete blunder, okay? More likely than not, they're going to play rook to f1 to defend the rook, but this is also pretty catastrophic, because we play this move queen to e4. Obviously, if they block with queen, you just take the queen. Okay, you just simply take the queen. So they're not going to want to lose their queen. So they're going to drop the bishop back, which is even more catastrophic, and I'm sure most of you can see why. It's because of knight to f3, and this is checkmate. The bishop cannot take this knight, because the queen is pinning it to the king. So this is a trap you can play in the Italian game, play it over the board, play against your friends. Let's jump into trap number 2. Okay guys, so for trap number 2, it actually comes in the Petrov defense, which if you don't know, comes after e4, e5, knight f3 and knight f6. So a very, very symmetrical position whereby both the e4 and e5 pawns are undefended, and we actually want white to take our pawn on e5. And then we're going to play this move knight to c6, which is known as the Latvian Gambit. So you're just basically allowing them to take this knight. And when they do take this knight, we're actually going to take back with the d-pawn, opening up our queen, and we're just going to be having some monstrous counterplay here. They're going to play d3, okay? This is the main line, this is very normal stuff. Bishop comes out to c5 on a very active diagonal. And these are where the big threats start to come in, because they're going to play bishop to g5, which is the most common move, pinning the knight to the queen. It looks so natural, but you actually are just completely losing now. And if you can find this move without knowing the line, I would be very impressed, guys. It's actually knight takes on e4, which just looks so mind-blowingly unbelievable. Completely hanging your queen. But we actually want them to take our queen. We want them to take the queen right now. And you might be thinking, what the actual hell? Why do we want them to take our queen? We are down 9 points of material, and our knight is hanging, so we clearly need to move our knight away from this threat. No, we don't. We play bishop to f2 check. And obviously the knight is currently guarding these 2 squares, so the king has to step forwards into mate in 1. There is no way you can block this checkmate. So this is a gorgeous little trap in the Latvian Gambit, whereby you completely sacrifice your queen for checkmate. And the amount of players that won't even calculate anything. Like, you could play this in rapid games if you're around 1,000 elo, and they're not going to calculate a thing. They're just going to take the queen. Because, like, who the hell wouldn't take a queen? Like, it's a free queen. But it's not because it comes at checkmate. Let's jump into trap number 3. Okay guys, so for trap number 3, we actually have it in the Roy Lopez, which is the most common opening in chess. It's been around since like the 1500s, and it's actually still getting decisive games at a top level, which is just crazy to think about. But it starts with e4, e5, knight comes out to f3, and then we play knight to c6 to defend our central pawn. So very similar first two moves to the Italian game we looked at in the first trap, but instead of the bishop coming out to c4, the bishop is actually going to come over to b5, putting pressure on our knight, looking to take the knight to remove the defender of this e5 pawn. But here we can actually just play this move a6, which is known as the Morphy defense. We're looking to kick the bishop back, and if it was to go back to a4, you can just play b5, kicking it even further back, gaining as many tempos as possible. But in this trap, we actually want them to take this knight, and then, very important, take back with the d-pawn, again opening up our queen. So similar to the Latvian Gambit in the sense that we want our queen open, and that's quite a common trend for most opening traps, is you want your queen to be able to maneuver to as many squares as possible. And here, the very natural best move actually is for them to short castle, just ultra solid move. And then we're going to play this move bishop to g4, pinning the knight to the queen. Now, they'll probably play a move like h3, just looking to kick your bishop back, which is still actually a book move, by the way. So this is all still just theory, so nothing too obscure here. But this is actually known as a fishing pole trap, where we play this move h5, completely hanging our bishop. And you might be wondering, why the hell are we hanging the bishop, Max? This doesn't make any sense. Well, when they take, it's actually a huge mistake, because after we take back, we have so many threats now on this checkmate file. They need to defend this knight. The best move is rook e1, but nobody is going to play this move rook e1. Like, it's not happening, because if like we'd just be up a full knight and we're just up material. So that's not going to happen. Chances are they're going to take this pawn, because it's like, well, I need to move my knight to safety. How the hell can I do that? But now after queen h4, it's inevitable checkmate. There's actually nothing they can do. They can prolong it a little bit with f4, but then you just play g3, like closing off the squares from their king. And now there's really nothing they can do. They play queen h5, you just take the queen. There's nothing left for them to do, it's just checkmate. So that's a bit of a fishing pole trap for you guys. Works at a surprisingly high elo. I played this at 1300 the other day. I've not really tried it at like 14, 1500, but I'm sure it's going to get a few people, especially in those shorter time controls like Bullet. But guys, definitely use this in your games. Okay, you beautiful people, so for trap number 4, it actually comes in the Latvian Gambit, which is where you play f5 to challenge the centre after e4. So we still get our moves e4 and e5, very symmetrical, very normal looking. And then they play the move knight to f3, attacking our e5 pawn. And then we play f5, the Latvian Gambit. Very confusing line. If you don't know the Latvian Gambit and you're at a very small amount of elo, definitely recommend learning it, because if your opponent doesn't play perfectly, which they won't, you're going to get really nice positions. Chances are they'll just bring their bishop out. This is a book move. This is very normal stuff. This is known as the Maya attack. And then we actually take this pawn in the centre, forcing the knight to move away, and chances are they're going to take this pawn on e5, which is where we begin to pounce, okay? So we play knight f6, just developing another piece, and it may look a little bit scary because of this fork, but you don't need to worry, okay? If they do play this move knight to f7, then we just play queen e7, okay? We just move out of the way, and when they pick up this rook, we play the move d5, completely shutting off the scope of this bishop so it cannot protect the knight on f7 anymore. They will drop back to b3, very natural looking move, just avoiding any sort of threats, any sort of attacks. But after bishop to g4, things get very, very scary for our opponent, okay? The only way they can stop us from winning this queen, right, is if they play this move f3. But this is a huge, huge blunder, because we can actually take with a discovered check, okay? So when we take this pawn on f3, we open up our queen onto the king, so it's a check. So they cannot recapture because they have to deal with the threat of check first. So the king will likely go to f2 because they might be scared of us giving this check, opening up our bishop onto the queen. So they'll probably go to f2. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But then we play this beautiful move, knight to e4 check. Okay, the king will then, well, be forced to go back to f1. And here you just unleash a brutal attack. You don't take this with check, winning the queen, okay? Because we can do much better than that. You actually play queen h4. Setting up all kinds of mating ideas, and chances are they're going to play g3 to block the diagonal, so you just put your queen on h3. And the king's only real move is e1. Obviously, if they were to go over here, it's just mate. So e1, really the only move for the king. But guys, f2 is checkmate. A pawn checkmate in 12 moves in the Latvian Gambit. Guys, you have to learn this one. If nothing else, please add this one to your repertoire, because the Latvian Gambit is such a nuanced, confusing opening. This is going to work at higher elos, guys, so this is one for all of you. My word, we have potentially saved the best till last, though, so guys, stick around for this trap number 5. Okay, guys, so trap number 5 actually comes within the Caracan opening, which is very surprising to a lot of people, because the Caracan, it doesn't allow for much counterplay on either side. It's just ultra solid, very defensive opening for black, whereby it's a real slow burner of a game, very sort of methodical and nuanced moves being played, slowly building up attacks. This one, absolutely not. It's just instantaneous. So Caracan, of course, starts with e4, whole premise of the video, and then we respond with c6. They'll play d4, taking the center completely, very instructive play, and then we play d5, challenging the center. So this move, knight to c3, is the main line, and when we take the pawn, they'll recapture with the knight to complete this main line of the Caracan. We'll then play knight to f6, which is sort of like the Tartakower opening, whereby they can just take this knight now. But if they go back to if they play knight to g3, sorry, well then we play h5. Okay, and we're looking just to completely overrun this knight, okay? Guys, by the way, there is a queen sacrifice in this one, so if you're thinking about clicking away, my word, do not, okay? We're going after the knight with h5. They're going to play bishop to g5, sorry, basically putting as much pressure on this knight as possible. And also, if we were to ever go here, the bishop has a little bit of control over this h4 square, so it's just a very normal looking move. We then play h4, okay? Now it's like, well, the knight really has to move, or they can take our knight. And when they take this knight, we then take their knight, okay? And things start to get very scary. They need to move their bishop back because, well, it's completely hanging. So bishop goes back to e5, very normal looking move, and it attacks our pawn, okay? And we can't just take here because they would have two pieces seeing this square. We only have the rook at the moment. So very important not to take. And actually play this insane looking move, rook takes on h2. Okay? Now if they were to just take this, then we would take their rook on h1 and we'd just be threatening the knight. And we'd just be up material, okay? So they cannot just take the pawn here. They take the rook back. And it's very important to note that we still cannot take this rook, because then the bishop would just take back and we wouldn't be up any material, so this would not be a good opening to show in a video. We play the move queen a5 check. This is absolutely insane, okay? Now, they can play anything really, like c3, they can block with the queen, they can move their king up. Our response is still the same, okay? When they play c3, we're going to take this bishop, completely sacrificing our queen, because now we've just removed the defender of this h2 square, okay? We've completely removed the defender of this rook. So when they recapture the queen, we're going to take the rook, and now it doesn't matter what white does. We're just making another queen, and we're just up a full piece of material in the Caracan. So guys, if you're a Caracan player, you have to add this to your repertoire. It's the main line, so all these moves are so normal looking, but it's an insane queen sacrifice that gives you the advantage, and you just go ahead and make another queen anyway. So a temporary queen sacrifice for long-term gain. Guys, I got no more e4 traps for you, okay? If you have any others that you recommend people learning, drop them in the comments below. Let's all share our opening traps. I'm gonna love you and leave you guys. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.